Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
What's up, everybody? You are watching / listening to the Command Zone podcast. Today, I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Wong.
How's it? I'm Murph. Back again. We're doing some more multicolored set review.
Yeah, for say it all in one breath. Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Nice. Yeah. So we have a bunch more awesome commanders to talk about today.
Oh, yeah?
Just a reminder, we are not covering the multicolored commanders from the commander product. These are just the cards from the main set.
Yes.
And there are plenty of them, lots of commanders. And we're also not talking about the commanders with the backgrounds. That's going to be an entire episode dedicated just to that. These are just the cards that are multicolored on their face and say legendary.
Yes, and if you don't see the commander that you're most excited about in this episode, well, we already did a part 1, so it's probably in that episode. So go watch that first.
Yep, that's letters A through J is part 1, and letters K through Z. I don't think there are any Z commanders in this one. K through...
There is, there actually
Oh, there is, that's right.
Our preview card.
Amazing. Yeah, K through Z is going to be this episode. But before we get into it, we're going to talk about a lot of cards today. You're going to buy Magic cards anyway. Why not support this show and get the cards you need at the exact same time? Not only that, but get great prices and great customer service at channelfireball.com/command. That is our affiliate link for the show. And even if you go through the entire checkout process and forget, oh shoot, I didn't enter in that URL, you can just put in promo code command at the very end, and that will tell Channel Fireball that you're shopping with us, and you're going to get the cards you need. The most important thing is that you have a lot of cards to buy, and hey, you're going to get them anyway, right? So why not shop from a marketplace that supports local game stores? Why not shop from a marketplace that has great prices on sealed products? And why not shop from a marketplace that also benefits one of your favorite podcasts, if not your favorite podcast?
We're definitely your favorite. I'm our favorites. Wait.
Yeah, I'm the favorite. Because Murph's on the show, it is my new favorite podcast. Sorry, Josh Lee Quiet. Yeah, channelfireball.com/command. Check it out. And when you get that product, when you get your sealed stuff, when you crack that box, those collector's boosters, well, you're going to want to make sure you put those foils into a sleeve as quickly as possible.
Very quick.
And why not choose the company that's been doing it for the longest time? That is Ultra Pro. You can also go to shop.ultrapro.com/command. That's where I get all my binders, by the way, because they have great deals. They just had a 20% off deal that was over Father's Day weekend. They may have new deals down the line. They always have great sales going on that website. And you can buy tons of product. You can go all the way back and buy binders and play mats and art that may not even be the current set that's out. So check it out.
Great way to organize your collection, protect your collection, whole shebang.
Whole shebang, yeah. Shop.ultrapro.com/command. I guarantee you're going to find something on there that you're going to go, oh, I could actually really use that. So that's the place to go. They got every single product that they pretty much stock. And if you don't find it there, then support your local game store and just go buy some stuff while you're over there as well. All right, last way to support the show is directly at patreon.com/commandzone. We have upgraded our Patreon a ton. I actually just played with 3 of our patrons over Spell Table.
Oh, yeah.
That's available at a certain tier. So if you want to check how to do that, as well as join our Discord and get access to exclusive content, patreon.com/commandzone. And we shout out one lucky patron every single episode. And this week's episode is dedicated to Chris Tabber. Chris,
you rock.
You do rock. All right, so let's dive right into it. The main topic, multicolored commanders. We talked about the new mechanics on the last episode, so we will not be doing so here. So we're going to go right into it with our first creature. Murph, take it away.
All right, we got Kaga, Shadow Archdruid. It is a 2 black-green legendary creature elf druid.
1/4.
That's a 1/4, yep. Whenever Kaga attacks, it gains Death Touch until end of turn, mill 2 cards. And once during each of your turns, you may play a land or cast a permanent spell from among cards in your graveyard that were put there from your library this turn.
Okay, this is like budget Muldrotha.
Yeah, budget Muldrotha, but it cares mostly about mill or getting stuff from your library into your graveyard, whereas Muldrotha is just like, yeah, if it's in there, whatever, you can cast it. Who cares?
Yeah, which makes Muldrotha very powerful and very annoying. Kaga is definitely the more pared down version of it.
Which I'm fine with.
I'm very fine with. Also, a 1/4 that attacks and gets Death Touch will very often just deal the damage.
Yeah, almost always.
Especially because you're not unless you're doing such broken things with the cards that you mill. Notably, you have to mill the cards from your library or put them into your graveyard from your library. So there are other ways of doing that, obviously, that aren't just mill in order to play those cards this turn. But you can play a land or cast a permanent spell. Notably, no instants, no sorceries.
Yes.
So
you want to fill it with lots and lots of permanents. So we got things like Stitcher Supplier, always a classic.
Yeah, this is one of the best mill cards I think ever printed.
Yeah.
It's a creature. It's black for a 1/1, and when it enters the battlefield or dies, you mill 3 cards from your library into your graveyard, which is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
There are also a lot of cards that you typically don't play in Commander, which is like reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a creature or whatever into it, and then the rest of the cards typically go on the bottom of your library in a random order. But cards like Grizzly Salvage or Mulch do not do that. They put it into your graveyard, and it's essentially like you're drawing those cards, at least for that turn. So it's kind of like almost black-green impulsive draw in a way.
Yeah, we see these types of cards in like Marin deck lists, or at least we used to.
Yeah.
So honestly, this deck list probably doesn't look too dissimilar from a Marin deck list.
Yep. And there's cards like Crawling Infestation that's going to mill you every upkeep. There's also a new Hideaway enchantment. I forget the name of it. I played it on game nights.
Yeah.
That does the same thing. You can mill cards at the beginning of your upkeep.
And those are important because those are permanents, which you can then cast from your graveyard and keep the mill going.
That's right. Yeah, and you want to be milling more permanents and lands than anything else because those instants and sorceries can't be cast. That doesn't mean that you don't play those in your deck, because cards like Entomb or Buried Alive put cards into your graveyard from your library. So you still want those in this deck.
Yeah, stuff like Entomb is just so good because it's basically a tutor.
That's
because you'll tutor. Well, it is a tutor, but
it's a with the commander out. It's a direct, almost as though it's into your hand tutor.
Yes, you can get any permanent you want, and then you can play it that turn. As long as your commander's out, which for 1 mana is very, very good.
Yeah, very good. Obviously, we have to mention Sir Conrad as a way to mill, but also as a way to just drain your opponents over time. You know, one thing, we used to be really, really high on Sir Conrad because there's just a billion ways that it triggers. I'm actually a little less high on it because of the 5 mana cost.
Interesting.
But it is still a very powerful card. I just don't ever really see myself using the second ability.
The second ability is very rarely used. It's oftentimes in conjunction with some other mill or destroy all creatures type engine. Like, I've died to Sir Conrad way too many times for me to be like, yeah, I'm down on that card. But I get what you mean by saying that you never really see the second ability activated.
Yeah, so I like Sir Conrad still a lot, though, because even if it's just Sir Conrad out, 1 in the black, mill a card, that could be drawing a card with your commander out, and there are worse rates to pay.
Yeah, and it's also a good way to end up winning the game.
Yeah. Now, of course, if you're going to have a very big graveyard, as black-green decks like to do with the mill strategy, there are ways to use it. Delve is something that we talk about quite a bit. So I played a Hogak deck once. Hogak. Pretty powerful card. You definitely want to be very turbo milly in this deck. So play your Hermit Druid.
And mill more than one.
More than one card, yeah.
Actually, no, you didn't mill anything because that basic land went to your hand.
Yeah,
so you technically didn't mill anything.
Hey, at least I tapped a card to draw a card. That's not the worst.
That was one of my favorite game night moments of all time.
Oh my gosh. People are like, you guys script these shows? It's like, no. Why would I script the show to punish myself so hard on something we work hard on? That's not how it works.
I spent so much time like taking that moment and like reworking that moment, reworking that moment.
Thanks, Murph.
Yeah, you're welcome. I got to see your pain in like slow motion.
Slow motion.
It's one of the benefits of the job.
And then you also have Murderous Cut, an incredibly good delve mill kill spell, and Empty the Pits.
I love Empty the Pits. I play Empty the Pits in a deck.
Really? Is it a mill deck?
It's a little bit. It's the what is it? The blue-black instant speed flash Nimrus.
Oh, Nimrus. Yeah.
Empty the Pits is a great win con because Nimrus is dumping stuff into your graveyard anyway, and it's instant speed.
Yeah. So you can X black. Delve, and then you put X/2/2 black zombie creatures tokens on the battlefield tapped. Good thing it's instant speed because you do it on an end step.
Yeah, all you got to do is do it on an end step. Just leave a bunch of mana, do it on an end step, and then suddenly you have a board that can attack on your turn, and people just won't see it coming.
Yeah, the pits have been emptied. All right, next up we have our an interesting one that I think belongs in the 99 more than anything else. It is Corlessa Scale Singer. Green and the blue for a legendary creature, Dragon Bard. Nice.
Sure.
It's a 1/4. It says you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast dragon spells from the top of your library. So, Simic Dragon Tribal. A lot of people have commented on this being like, hey, there aren't that many Simic dragons.
Yeah, which they're not wrong about. There's not a ton.
Yeah, so you got like Old Gnawbone. You have Imrith, Desert Doom.
Yeah.
Kaga, the Tide Star. But really, you know it's not a good thing, I think, when you're playing a tribal deck and you're like, crap, I need to put Realm Walker in.
Yes.
Which allows you...
I mean, Realm Walker is so good it goes on basically every tribal deck.
Yeah,
But-
sorry. I meant more like Maskwood Nexus.
Yeah,
is what
when
I
you're
meant.
trying to be like, okay, well, I just need more stuff. I need more changelings.
More changelings, yeah.
To be able to like hit that quota.
Apologies, Realm Walker is actually very good. It's actually very similar to Corlessa.
Yeah.
Which does the same thing. You can choose a creature type, you can look at the top of your library, and you can cast them. Now, I think this card just goes great in other decks that have dragons, because there are a lot of teamer dragon decks.
Yeah.
There are a lot of just dragon decks that have green and blue in them.
I think missing red's the really big one.
Yeah, red is definitely the dragon color, I think. But, in the same way that Dragon is all 5 colors, people like to have a 5-color dragon deck.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability that's on Corlessa is pretty good.
Yeah.
Being able to cast spells from the top of your library means you're always basically drawing an extra card into your hand in a way, as long as you can top deck manipulate a little bit. And maybe these decks are already playing your Brainstorms and your Sensei Divining Tops and your Scroll Racks.
Yeah.
But in general, I think not a great commander. I would definitely look to put this in the 9/9 or something.
Yeah. The one thing I do like about it is that it is only 2 mana. It's a 2 mana dragon.
Yeah.
There's not too many like low costed dragons. Most dragons are like 5, 6, 7 mana.
Yeah.
You can't have your entire curve be 5, 6, 7 mana.
Yep.
You got to have some stuff that's lower to the ground. So having this dragon bard be a lot lower to the ground and still provide like pseudo card advantage in a dragon deck is a pretty good value, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the other comparable one is not a dragon. It's Dragon Lord's Servant. It's 1 in a red, and it makes dragon spells cost 1 less to cast.
Yeah.
And that's something you want early on in the game. I think this is also another good fit for the 2-drop slot in green and blue, depending on what the deck is you're playing.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next Drago. It is...
Lozon?
I keep giving you the hard names.
I know you do. Dragon's Legacy. Legendary creature, Dragon Shaman with flying. It's 3 a blue and a red. Whenever you cast an adventure spell or a dragon spell, it deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any targets other than a commander.
Yeah, we don't see that very often to any target that isn't a commander. So you can't kill a commander with Lozon's triggered ability, but you can go to face or creature or planeswalker, and any target is something you don't really see that often on cards these days. It's usually target non-land permanent or target creature or target planeswalker or just target player.
Yeah.
So I do like this card a lot because I don't care about the adventure part.
Yeah.
The dragon part is very interesting to me.
I feel like all the extra words that are tacked onto it that care about like adventure spells or anything that's not a commander, it's only put on there because of draft.
Yeah,
or like
and-
limited.
in limited, and maybe down the line, we talked about this in the last episode, there will be enough adventure spells that you can make that deck. But I think this to me is just great. It is limited to casting, so it's not just enter the battlefield effects. But now that we're in blue and red, we got a lot more interesting dragons that really can take use of this effect or just double down on it.
Yeah, which it's good that you have other blue-red dragons other than Niv Mizzet, one of the many versions of Niv Mizzet.
Yeah, any of the Niv Mizzets. But Terror of the Peaks, this card is just an absolute house. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target.
So you're getting like damage on the cast, and then you're getting damage once it enters play.
And
you can like
then-
stack all that damage.
Yeah, you'll get
blow anything up in the
Lozon
sky.
and Terror doing damage as well at that point.
So good.
Yeah, you're definitely doing a lot. You want to be able to ramp to that mana pretty fast too.
Yeah.
Niv Mizzet Perun is great whenever you draw a card that deals damage to any target, 1 damage. And then whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery, you draw a card. This is just nuts.
Yeah, especially if you're like, hey, I am going to throw a few adventures in here. They're all instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
So then Niv Mizzet Perun just gets a whole lot better.
Yep, and Drakuseth Maul of Flames also is just, this is going to do infinite damage, I feel like, when it comes down.
Yeah.
It's 4 red, red, red when it enters the battlefield. Oh, no, sorry, when it attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets.
Just having a lot of like duplicate effects of dealing damage to things on the board.
Yeah.
And it's is that any target as well? Yeah, Drakuseth is any target as well. So you can just like start picking off creatures because maybe they have like a 7/7. And that's hard to pick off with single target damage. But
Yeah.
with this commander, it could be a heck of a lot easier because you can play a 5-mana dragon and then attack with something like Drakuseth, or play a 5-mana dragon and a Terror of the Peaks, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You can start stacking all those effects and actually taking out the stuff that really matters.
Yep. Now, if you are going to be playing adventures, there are a couple that seems like auto includes here. So you cannot play the creature part of the adventure, by the way, to get the adventure. It is only the part that says instant dash adventure or sorcery dash adventure.
Yes.
So
you can play the creature part of it, but only afterwards.
Yep. So Bone Crusher Giant for 1 and a red is an instant. Damage can't be prevented this turn, which is pretty good actually. And then
Also very
Stomp
important.
deals 2 damage to any target. So you're going to deal 2 damage and then another 2 with your commander. And then later on, you can... Here's the thing, you can just keep this in exile and just treat this as a 1 in a red 4 damage spell.
Yeah.
2 different targets, which is, I think, definitely good enough for commander. A lot of commanders sit at that X4 toughness that can get killed. But,
Yeah.
well, actually, sorry, I misspoke. You cannot target the commander with Lazan's ability, but the Bone Crusher Giant is still good. It deals 4 damage to something else.
Yeah, I think the damage can't be prevented is like secretly, sneakily very, very good. Because
Yeah.
I've like actually been blown out where I'm just like, all right, I get attacked with everything for lethal. I fog, Bone Crusher Giant. Crap.
Yeah. Instant
I
speed
just
on
die.
top. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then Brazen Borrower is the other one in blue where you can just bounce something. That's great. Two mana, bounce something, and deal 2 damage is something you'll probably pick off a utility creature.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good. And then later on, you can just cast it as a 1 blue, 3/1 flying. So. Obviously, you're going to play Dragon Tempest in this deck. Any deck that can play red and has dragons in it, Dragon Tempest is an auto because,
want.
yeah, then you can play Drakuseth and swing in the same turn and get the damage to your commander, all that good stuff.
Or whatever dragon you want.
Yeah.
Insert any dragon.
Insert any dragon. Now, do you think damage amplification is good in this deck, or is it overkill?
I think it's good just because it's any target. So I don't think it's necessarily overkill because then you play a 7 mana dragon. Okay, let's see. Triple that. 7, 14, 21. 21 damage.
Yee.
Like just to face, not using combat or anything.
That will typically end a game in mid to late game, and if not, you're going to put them so low that they have to play in a different way.
Yeah, they're completely on the back foot for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
that's the case. So I do think that it is good.
Yep.
I would
Corbin of Redfell. I don't know if I would play Torbrin in this deck necessarily. It adds 2 extra damage, but it takes away from the fact that you're trying to play dragons, and Torbrin is a dwarf noble.
Yeah.
So.
Basilisk Collar is kind of an interesting one because
Oh, interesting. You equip your commander with it?
yeah, even if you play something small like an adventure, then it'll give it Death Touch, and so you can pick off those things with your commander no matter what, but also gives it lifelink.
Yeah.
So then when your commander is doing damage, you're gaining all that life back, and you're just getting a higher and higher life total, so you're staying healthy and picking off everybody else's stuff.
Yeah, Basilisk Collar seems very good in this deck.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Okay, yeah, Lazen a lot better than Kaga. Corlessa.
Yeah.
Apologies. But there's going to be a couple more dragons, I think, in the set review that probably will take the cake in terms of being better than all of them. All right, let's read this next one. It's Mahadi Emporium Master. It's 1 a black and a red for a 3/3. It's a Cat Devil.
Interesting.
It looks like a Leonin, but I suppose Cat Devil is fine here. It says, at the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each creature that died this turn. Wow.
Yeah. So this card seems really good.
Yeah.
Like, am I crazy?
I don't think so. One, you can copy the trigger, Lithiform Edge and Strionic Resonator, both ways to get another version of this. But this, to me, says, hey, how can you keep Mahadi alive and wipe the board? Or wipe the board, then play Mahadi.
That's the interesting part about it, because it's at the beginning of your end step trigger. It's not whenever a creature dies.
Yeah, it counts everything from the turn leading up to
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be on the board. You can just wipe the entire board, even if Mahadi's already been on the board. Just recast it again, and you'll still get all those triggers.
Yeah, and this seems really good too with like a Garn of the Bloodflame.
Oh, yeah.
As well, because you're able to bring stuff back. But let's say you have Blasphemous Act. You cast it for 1 red mana, kill, 12 things.
Yeah.
And then for 3 more mana, so 4 mana total, you play Mahadi, go to your end step. You just made 12 treasures for 4 mana.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, very, very good. Damnation also, it's just a 4 mana board wipe. Toxic Deluge seems pretty darn good as well.
Meat Hook
Team up, it's just
Massacre.
6 mana, right, to get this effect.
Yeah.
Meat Hook Massacre, another great one, yeah. And hey, you could even have Mahadi out, Meat Hook Massacre for -2/-2,
Yeah.
kill a bunch of things and get all those treasures as well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, treasure payoffs.
Academy Manufacturer.
Yeah, imagine
Zorn.
that. You get
Old
36
Span Dragon.
artifacts
Oh my
as a result.
goodness.
So this could be the deck where you play the Girapur Ether Grid. Is that the name one? Or Ether, whatever. The one that you tap artifacts to deal damage.
Yeah.
So like kind of what Josh did with the Togo deck that one time
that was
on game nights. Or you could just go big mana with this, right? You could totally have a way. Let's say you have everyone's favorite Vidalcan Orrery, and then you do the whole board wipe thing, you make 12 mana. You could just instant speed in an Eldrazi by your next turn.
Yeah, you can do Eldrazi, you can do Exsanguinate, Torment of Hailfire. Like there's
goodness.
all sorts of things, and those X spells are really good in this because they also scale to however many treasures you get.
Yeah. And so this is on your end steps, so you can also be the one that's personally losing creatures. You can be sacrificing them potentially to Viscerous Hero, Woe Strider, Altar of Dementia, any of the altars. And then at that point, you are generating the treasures yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the one downside of it. You have to wait, unless you have a Vidalcan Aura, you have to wait an entire turn rotation in order to actually use all of these treasures. But I think that the mana cost of the commander and just the amount of stuff that you get, like the amount that it ramps you, is just so good for the cost.
Yeah,
I don't think it matters that much.
Yeah, I could see this being played just in regular black-red decks.
Yeah.
And let's say you just have a turn where you're in the Aristocrats deck, you sacrifice a bunch of things, because it is not non-token, notably. It is just whenever a creature died this turn, you count that towards Mahadi's trigger.
Yeah, creatures are dying all the time in Commander, so even if you just throw it in your black-red deck as a value piece, it's going to do fine.
Yeah. Really interesting card is Lifeline. Now, this is a effect that affects the whole table. But basically, whenever a creature is put into a graveyard and you have a creature in play, that creature that died comes back from your graveyard to the battlefield at the end of the turn.
Yeah, I love this one because as long as you have a free sacrifice outlet on the board, you can sack your entire board.
Except for Mahadi.
Yeah, as long as one creature's on the board.
Mahadi.
Yeah. You'll get all those creatures back at the end of your turn.
And it will count all of them. Now, you can't loop this because this is an end step trigger, so it all happens at the same time. But you can, let's say you have 4 creatures in Mahadi, sack those 4 creatures, the Viscera Seer, including the Viscera Seer, do itself.
Yep.
Scry 4, end of turn, make 4 treasures, all creatures come back.
Yes. And then you can do that again next turn, and the turn after that, and the turn after that. And that just is a snowball rolling downhill that cannot be stopped.
Well, notably, Lifeline does change. My opinion on it changes a little bit because when it passes to Murph's turn, Murph's can be like, great, I'm going to sack all my stuff to my whatever because Lifeline's out.
That's true, but you need that free sacrifice outlet. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
You probably sandbag it if other people have free sacrifice outlets, but as long as you're the only one that can really take advantage of it, it's so broke.
Yeah,
so
and
good.
even if, like, let's say it's like, all right, well, I'm going to swing at you and you'll block it and I'll get this creature back or whatever. Yeah, that's good, but not as good as what you're doing, making the treasures on top of everything else. Okay, I like Mahadi. It's currently it's up there for cards I think are pretty powerful.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about
Mazi True Sword Paladin. It's 1 red, green, white for a halfling knight. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Whenever an aura you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, exile it. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
until the end of your next turn.
Next turn.
That's big game here because if it's until just the end of your current turn, then having Mazi out, playing an aura, having that creature die, and not being able to have the mana to play it again kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But Mazi here, I think, is actually a pretty good contender for one of the better aura decks out there.
Yeah, because again, it does the thing that you want with auras in that if your auras go away, well, that's inherent card disadvantage. So how do you get that advantage back? Well, you can just cast them again.
Yep. And also Mazi, notably, if that creature with the aura dies on someone else's turn, you still get that trigger back.
Yes.
And so you'll have until the end of your next turn. So it could be like, hey, I passed to you. Murph goes board wide. Crap. Okay, well, 3 auras went to the graveyard. I can cast all those next turn thanks to Mazi's ability.
Yep.
So some good auras to put on Mazi and the creatures around Mazi. All that glitters is gold. My favorite Smash Mouth song.
Only shooting stars.
Yeah, so there's 1 in the white enchant creature. It gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control, very similar to Ancestral Mask. But Ancestral Mask counts all the enchantments on the battlefield. But I've seen decks like this just go off, especially that new Yoshimaru, the new wolf puppy dog thing from Neon Dynasty. I've just been destroyed by it. So there are really powerful ways to get auras just ramping out and going really fast in a deck like this.
Yeah, you can stack auras on really quickly.
Yeah, and then people realize, oh shoot, you just gave it Shroud and it has Indestructible? How am I ever going to get rid of that thing? It's like, well, you got to kill the aura first, and then it's like, oh my gosh, that's really annoying.
Yeah.
Because you have to literally get rid of all these other things and then waste another removal spell to kill the thing or bounce it or whatever.
And Mazi makes it even more difficult because even if you get rid of that one aura that's giving it Shroud, well, you can just cast it next turn.
I think this is another great call for Vidalcan Orrery.
Yeah.
Because having the ability, let's say the aura gets popped off of something, goes to graveyard, and then you go to kill the thing, it's like, well, I'm just going to flash it back and give it Shroud again.
Exactly.
Well, sorry, not flash it back. Going to play it with instant speed because of Mazi.
Yeah, because it can just stay exiled, and it doesn't say that you can only do it on your turn. It's just until the end of your next turn. As long as you can flash things in, like, you're pretty golden.
Yeah, and there's going to be there also are auras that are flash speed as well, which is pretty good for this.
Yep.
Bear Umbra is probably the best totem armor because it acts like a Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yep.
And that is a huge target for removal. So being able to cast this over and over again, have the mana up, most importantly, another thing aura decks are from you're playing all these auras, you're not really affecting the board state, you're just making a creature buffer. So being able to regain that mana is really important.
Yeah, again, totem armor also very important because if the aura gets destroyed because maybe somebody's going to destroy the creature. Oh,
right.
Totem armor, that gets removed. Okay, great. Now I'll just recast my totem armor. Have fun.
Yep.
Try removing it again.
Yep. You are in the Enchantress colors as well, in terms of green and white. So you can play Sithis, Mesa Enchantress, Eidolon of Blossoms, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But we did find some really interesting auras to recycle that we like here. That if you can find a way to either, get it into the graveyard, sack it, or even just if it naturally gets removed, it's pretty fun to play again. So Squeeze Embrace, good old Squee.
Yep.
Great art by Baruka Gwai as well. A red-white enchant creature gets +2/+2, but when enchant creature is put into a graveyard, return that creature to its owner's hand.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the commander.
Yeah. If the creature dies, then aura gets exiled, and you can recast it, and the creature just goes back to hand. So you just replay the creature, replay the aura, you're right back where you were, and you can keep going from there.
Yep. And then we have these cycling ones that basically replace itself for cantrips. So Angelic Gift, Dragon Mantle, both draw you a card when they enter the battlefield.
Yeah, and I think those are very important to be able to recast, because what's the best thing that you can recast? Recasting things that draw cards, because then that draws you into more auras, and then again, it's that aura snowball that's rolling downhill.
Yep. And then there are a couple of cards that can sacrifice auras, specifically enchantments in white. So we got Oratog, like Atog.
Yep, that's
Oratog. Really inventive naming there.
I think that was Morrow.
Probably. And then Faith Healer as well. So both those allow you to sacrifice enchantments.
Yeah.
Which seems pretty good.
And again, you can sacrifice the ones that draw cards, replay them, sacrifice them, replay them.
Yep.
And so if you have a 1 mana cantrippy enchantments, then it's just 1 mana draw 1 card, which is a very, very good rate.
Very trippy indeed.
Yeah. So I like this commander a lot. I think she's very powerful.
I think in general, when we see commanders that are in this world and just getting better at doing that thing, like, okay, yeah, cool, you're playing Voltron or you're playing a very easy to destroy strategy. Now that we have Yoshimaru, we have cards like this, they seem much more viable, and I think, to me, make the game more fun, because it's not just, let me get my combo piece out, you've seen this 5 times before.
Yeah.
It's the same, plays out same every time. Like, this one's like, cool, you're just actually attacking, and that's fun.
Yeah, and there's a few different ways that you can build it, right? Like, you could go wide with auras, right? Because all the auras are just going to come back once those creatures die anyway, so it doesn't matter.
All right, moving on to this next one. Spoiler alert, I play this in the next game nights.
Woo!
And it is a dragon commander. It is Miram Sentinel Worm. So this is 3 green, blue, and a red for a 6/6 legendary creature dragon spirit with flying and ward 2. So if it ever gets targeted, you have to pay an additional 2 mana to target it. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it, except the token isn't legendary if that dragon is legendary. Alrighty.
Huh. That seems like a very Jimmy Wong card to me.
Yeah, so you get to play any dragon. It gets doubled if it's a non-token. And if it's a legendary creature, you get another version of it that isn't legendary. So it's kind of like Spark Double in that you get to have multiple legendaries out, which is super freaking cool.
It's very powerful. I think one of the cards that I missed on the most was Spark Double. I looked at Spark Double when War of the Spark came out. And I was like,
whatever.
It only copies your own stuff.
Yeah.
I guess it copies Planeswalkers, but that doesn't really matter. This is just like way worse than Clone.
Nope.
Well, no, it's way better than Clone.
It's Sakashima levels of good almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being able to copy legendary stuff is huge.
Yeah. And so this deck, I think you are 100% are playing Panharmonicon.
Ooh, 3 dragons for the price of
3
one.
dragons, yeah. Strionic Resonator, Dragon Tempest. Again, you're in red. Every single one of those dragons is going to do more and more damage as they enter the battlefield, and those are just triggers that just cascade onto each other.
Yep.
Lithoform Engine as well to duplicate. You can also just copy permanent spells with Lithoform Engine if you have enough mana. So there's just lots of ways to get tons and tons of copies of things. Lithoform Engine almost works like your commander when you don't have your commander out as well. If you're looking
that is also very true.
Yeah. And notably, this is entering the battlefield, not even cast.
Yes.
So that to me was like, I'm going to flicker the crap out of these.
Yeah, you can blink things.
Yeah, so there's lots of different things that you can do here. So you've got Thassa, Deep Dwelling, Ghostly Flicker, just lots and lots of different things you can do here.
Yeah.
In terms of dragons you should copy, just look. Teamer has so many dragons. Getting 2 Niv Mizzets out.
Oh my gosh.
Nuts.
That's crazy.
Getting 2 Lathlises out. Nuts.
Vara
2 Vara Hellkites out.
Oh no.
Nuts. Almost 2 old Gnawbones out with haste. Nuts. So just look, and I think build the deck the way you want to do it, right? There's so many different ways to do it. I think because this deck is so mana hungry, I'm playing cards like Elvish Piper, as well as Quicksilver Amulet, things that can get stuff out quickly.
Yeah, because the commander doesn't care about being cast only as long as it enters the battlefield.
Enters
So
the
if you can cheat
battlefield.
something out, that's
Yeah.
great. It'll make a copy of it regardless.
I could totally see a case for this deck also playing like a Perforos. And that Impact Tremors, that being the end, because Dragon Tempest does a very similar thing. You may even find that Dead Navigator finally makes its way back into a deck with an effect this powerful. And again, I think you're focusing a lot on mana ramp, a lot on cheating mana costs, and then just some sweet beaters. Sarkhan's Triumph as well is a amazing tutor for dragons specifically, or changelings, I guess. So there's lots of ways to make Miram very broken. But I also think pretty fair. It's a 6-mana commander. It's obvious what you're doing. There are ways to play around it. There are ways to get you and gotcha. If you just counter Miram, you're in a really bad spot.
Yeah.
So I think this is right in that sweet spot of where I like to be in terms of it's kind of battle cruisery, but it's got so much impact that when it happens, you are well on your way to winning the game.
Yeah. I know you already have Intet the Dreamer
Yep.
deck.
This is literally
like a straight swap.
It's a straight swap. Intet is also a Teamer Dragon, and it's also 6 mana, and the ability is on Intet kind of sucks.
I like it. It's cute.
It's cute.
It's cute.
It's like old school Magic,
Yeah,
right?
it very much is.
Gotta deal combat damage, you gotta pay extra mana, and then you have to see what you're gonna have at the top of your library. But I never really built in the brainstorm effects. I just wanted to make a big, cool dragon deck. I also think clones are really good because clones enter as a dragon, so the clone will then also duplicate. So then that's how you can cheat out a big mana cost dragon and then have a Spark Devil come in or have a Phyrexian Metamorph come in at much cheaper mana costs. Get all those dragons go nuts.
Yeah, because really all you need is one cool dragon. Once you got that one cool dragon, you can say, great, now I'll make a ton of those.
And then you got one really cool dragon.
a lot of one really cool dragon.
Yeah, exactly. What's better than one really cool dragon? 2 really cool dragons. Okie dokie. Let's move on to Minsk and Boo, Timeless Heroes.
And Boo. All right. So this is... Thank you. This is a lot of text.
It's a lot.
All right. Minsk and Boo, Timeless Heroes. 2 red, green for a legendary planeswalker, Minsk, who can be your commander. Starts with 3 loyalty. Whenever it enters the battlefield, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may create Boo, a legendary 1/1 red hamster creature token with trample and haste.
Ooh.
You can +1 it to put 3 +1/+1 counters on another target creature with trample or haste. And you can -2 to sacrifice a creature, and when you do, it deals X damage to any target where X is that creature's power. But if the sacrificed creature was a hamster, you can draw X cards.
All right. And the most important line of text, Minsk and Boo.
Can be your commander.
Yeah.
I already said that.
Oh, you did? It's like
You did this to me
I did this to you in the last one too, yeah. So this is interesting. You can only put counters on a creature with trample or haste.
Yes.
But it's 3 +1/+1 counters for a +1. So that's pretty darn good because you're going to play Minsk and Boo. Boo's going to come out. You make it into a 4/4.
Yeah. So it automatically protects itself, and it protects itself pretty well, honestly.
Yeah, a 4/4 hamster with trample and haste. You can even attack if you need to.
Yeah.
And the -2 you can do when it comes out. If it's a changeling, then you get the hamster ability.
Yeah.
But you can also just fling something.
Because notably, there's no hamsters in Magic.
No.
Like, there's no cards that just are hamsters. But hamster is a creature type.
Yep.
So if you have any changelings, that'll count as a hamster. Other than that, it's just you got changelings and Boo, and that's about it.
Yeah, so you could go one direction, which is you're going to play a trample haste tribal deck. So you got Swiftfoot Boots, Anger, Rabbit Battery from Kamigawa. I think this card's pretty good. Shadow Spear as well. All ways to give your cards that stuff. And then you also could play like Hero's Blade because it automatically equips to Boo when he comes in because it's a legendary hamster. And then you could sacrifice
it. That's so good.
Yeah, so you can do 4. You play turn 2 or turn 3 Hero's Blade, turn 4, turn 3 Minsk and Boo, -2 instantly. You get a. Well, here's the thing: it can come in, and I believe it has haste. Yeah,
it does.
Comes in, swings for 4, and then you -2 to draw 4 and do 4 damage to something.
And then you just get another Boo next turn, which then automatically equips. And you're at a pretty low loyalty, so then you have to start ticking up at that point. But whatever. Like, that's pretty good value.
4 mana, deal 4 damage to something, and then also fling something for 4 and draw 4 cards.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Turian Mauler is sort of like the, what's that freaking Hydra that tramples over? Managorger Hydra.
Yeah.
But Changeling, so this is something you play earlier on. By the time it gets back around to you, maybe this 2/2 turns into a 6/6.
This thing's the worst to track.
Yeah, there's a lot. And then you can just sacrifice it, right? And it's going to be able to be a hamster as well.
Yes.
So that is the other direction you could be going here with, which is just basically hamster Changeling Tribal. Turian Mauler, Bloodline Pretender, Mass Vandal, Maskwood Nexus.
Just changeling stuff.
Just changeling stuff. Yeah, we've talked about all these cards before. There's also some equipment that make things into changelings. Rune Stalactite, Amorphous Axe.
Yeah, so then whatever other creatures you happen to have in your deck, you could just sacrifice those.
Yeah, but there are only 19 legal changelings in Gruul, so Hamster Tribal, a little bit iffy. Yeah. I think you can make a case for playing Turian Mauler and maybe Mask Vandal.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some that you include even if you're not going the changeling route.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't think you want to go full on that.
Yeah.
We made a note that Polymorph is definitely a possibility with this deck because you're making Boo, and that's a perfect creature to change into something scarier.
Yes, because with Polymorph decks, like with Manson's Polymorph deck, it's Kaikar. And so the reason that's good is because it'll make the spirit automatically that you can then polymorph into something else in your deck. So you don't have to put small creatures in your deck. You can only put the really, really big creatures. Same thing with Minsc and Boo. It'll automatically come with that 1/1 that you can then polymorph into something big out of your deck.
Yeah, so you have Transmogrify, Reality Scramble, Luca, Coppercoat, Outcast, all do the polymorph thing. Yep. And then you just want to find cool big creature targets. You're in Gruul. You've got lots of monsters out.
So many.
We wrote down Nyx Bloom Ancient, Atali, Primal Storm, just lots of, and especially if you're playing haste enablers as well, then your Atali is going to be very, very powerful.
And very, very happy.
Very happy, yeah. Yeah, so there's obviously a lot that can happen with this deck. There's +1/+1 synergies you can go towards. You can play that whole route. I think in general, though, I'm not as big a fan of the +1/+1 synergies because it's not like a token deck. I think I like the Transmogrify approach a little bit more in terms of what you might be able to do.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you double the counters, like that's 3 +1/+1 counters, it turns into 6. It's 7/7 trample haste. It's not bad.
Pretty good, yeah. Or you can turn it into a Kozilek or an Ulamog.
Yeah, that's probably better.
And then, of course, there's an interesting synergy with Mirror Box, which is the legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control, so you can start making more Boos.
Yeah, because it says that you may make another Boo.
Yeah.
At the beginning of your upkeep, it doesn't say
check if you have one.
Check if you have one, or if not, it just says you may. And so you can be like, great, I'll make another one.
Yeah,
great, I'll make another one.
And it says each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1.
So then they're all 2/2 Boos. And then you can have an army of 2/2 Boos.
Yeah, that seems like the way I'd want to go with this because that's just fun. Very fun and flavorful for sure. Yeah. All right, so Minsc and Boo, Timeless Heroes, really interesting. Now, the original Minsc and Boo that I played on game nights was Naya, so you're missing out on white here. And there's some very good changelings in white, so it is interesting. Maybe you don't make this your commander, maybe you just put this in the other Minsc and Boo deck.
Yeah, it's definitely a different deck if you choose to put this as your commander.
Yeah, 100%. All right, moving on to Minthara, Merciless Soul. 2 a white and a black for a 2/2 elf cleric. Ward X, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Whoa, I haven't seen experience counters in a while. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, you get an experience counter. Creatures you control get +1/+0 for each experience counter you have.
I got really excited when I saw this card because...
You play Kelsien.
Because I play Kelsien.
And this goes in Kelsien.
Yeah. So the way that Kelsien works is that... Do we have it here?
Right here.
We do. So that's a red, white, black, vigilance, haste. Gets +1/+1 for each experience counter you have. And it deals... you can tap it to deal 1 damage to target creature you don't control. And when that creature dies, you get an experience counter. So Kelsien can stack up the experience counters pretty fast. And what you want in the deck, in addition to Kelsien, is lots of pingers.
Yep.
But those lots of pingers, once the board's like pretty clear, there's not a ton that they can do. So what Minthara can do is once you have the board pretty clear and there's been a lot of experience counters that you've got, well, now all your creatures are big. All your creatures get +1/+0 for each of those experience counters.
Yeah, so they could be massive.
Exactly. So you could have
Kelsien will get +1/+1 for all of them. Additionally,
so you can start one-shotting people with Kelsien and then start swinging with like Ball Lightning 6/1 type stuff.
Yeah. Kelsien, by the way, is vigilance and haste.
Yes.
So you can definitely swing with it. And then you also have like Daxos the Return is another card that cares about experience counters.
Yeah.
So I think Minthara has a great case of being in those decks. And then these cards, not Kelsien, but Daxos is a great case of being in Minthara as well.
Yes.
So yeah, and it's interesting because it's all about permanents leaving the battlefield this turn.
Yeah.
So it's looking to flicker, it's looking to sacrifice, it's looking to have things get blocked and killed. So you have the same, we've said this like 20 times now, Viscera Seer, Woe Strider, the Altars.
Play sacrifice stuff.
Yeah. But white-black has a lot of flickers. So Felidar Guardian is an easy one.
Yeah.
Ephemerate, an incredibly powerful one.
So good.
Yeah, and then I guess at that point, you're just... you're just doing lots of stuff. You're adding a lot of experience counters. You can proliferate experience counters, right?
Yes, you can. So anything like Yawgmoth, Karn's Bastion, sort of Truth and Justice in the American way.
Right.
Yeah.
Grateful Apparition as well.
Grateful Apparition is good, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Minthara is interesting. It's definitely pretty linear in terms of the strategy. So I would look to add this into other experience counter decks more than anything else, or just play like a really interesting flicker deck, and then your creatures get bigger and bigger, and maybe you get a lot of, you're playing Necrotal, and you're playing Ravenous Chupacabra.
Yeah, black-white flicker isn't really something that you see all that often, so that would be an interesting build, I think.
You could also maybe do Reanimator, where you're sacrificing and then reanimating the stuff, so you're getting that experience counter. It seems like it's actually really easy to get the experience counters ticked up on Minthara, because it's just if a permanent you control left the battlefield, so that includes fetch lands,
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like that Revolt text or
Revolt.
Revolt
from Ether Revolt. Yeah.
That's the one.
Hey, hooray, we did it. All right, let's read this next one.
All right. Next one is Merkel, Lord of Bones. So this is another one of the gods. It's a 4 white, black, green. Abzan. As long as your life total is less than or equal to your starting life total, it has indestructible, just like the other gods. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's an enchantment and loses all other card types.
Abzan enchantments matter.
Kind of.
Kind of. So this is great. You get another copy of a card whenever it dies, a non-token creature.
Yes.
You get a token copy, it loses all its other card types and becomes an enchantment instead.
Yeah, so I think baseline, what you want in this is Annoying Procession, Parallel Lives, because now you suddenly get double of whatever that thing is that you're sacrificing.
Right. So do they turn, if they're a creature, they did not become a creature when they come back?
Correct. They are no longer a creature. It's only enchantment and loses all other card types.
Okay. But the cool thing is that enchantments can still have abilities on them.
Yes.
So Llanowar Elves becomes an enchantment that just taps for a green mana.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Dryad of the Elysian Grove just gives you all those static abilities and turns into kind of like a Chromatic Lantern type effect.
Yep. We got like Zulaport, Cutthroat, Wandering Archaic, whatever cool static abilities on a creature that you like.
Not even static. Activated as well.
Activated abilities. Whatever ability you like on a creature.
Enchantments can tap for mana.
As long as it's not like combat related, then you're probably fine.
Yeah, so that's actually really interesting. There's lots of different things you can do here. Sacred Tribe Elder, you can sacrifice twice now.
Yep.
Because it comes back as a enchantment. That has
sack it again.
Yeah, Sacred Tribe Elder, the enchantment. Dauthi Voidwalker seems really nuts in this deck.
I love that.
Yeah, because you can so Dauthi Voidwalker, when cards get put into the graveyard, they get exiled with void counters, and then you can tap and sacrifice the Dauthi Voidwalker to play that card without paying its mana cost. But once you do that, Dauthi Voidwalker's gone, the effect's away. So Minthara allows you to just have, Miracle allows you to have that again.
Yeah.
Spore Frog. Oh my goodness. Selfless Savior, Devoted Druid. There are lots of different interesting ways to get nuts with this deck because you just get to have more and more of these cards.
So Devoted Druid is actually an interesting one because it can actually just go infinite. Right. Because you can put a -1/-1 counter on it.
Oh my gosh. And it's an enchantment, so it's never going to die.
Exactly. So you can put -1/-1 counters on enchantments.
Oh my goodness.
Technically speaking, it just won't do anything because what -1/-1 counters do is it checks the power and toughness. Once the toughness goes below 0, the thing will die. As a state-based effect.
It loses all of the...
Exactly.
Very powerful.
So there's Devoted Druid, gets you infinite mana. There's...
Oh my gosh, no! Cinderhaze Wretch!
Cinderhaze Wretch.
This makes... So it's... Tap, target player discards a card, play this ability only during your turn, and then put a -1/-1 counter on it to untap it. So you can make every single player discard their entire hand.
Yeah. Except for you.
When the enchantment comes back, when the creature comes back as an enchantment, does it have Summoning Sickness?
I mean, you tell me, Jimmy. Do enchantments have Summoning Sickness?
I don't think so.
No, they do not.
Yeah, so you don't even need to play haste enablers for these cards to go nuts.
Exactly.
You could literally have a Viscera Seer out or a Sack Outlet, play Cinderhaze Wretch, just sack it instantly, get it back, and then make everyone discard their hand.
Yes.
Wow. Very powerful. Same thing goes for Barrington Medic. This prevents damage that would be dealt to target creature or player this turn. So
you'll just never die.
Instant fog, insta fog forever and ever. This seems very powerful, Murph.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful. I'm glad that they put that the creature gets exiled, the initial creature gets exiled.
Right, so you can't just keep getting it back over and over again.
Exactly.
Maybe this is a good case for that. Oh no, it's in blue. I was gonna say no. There's a green one that brings cards back from exile, right?
There's white cards that will bring cards back from exile and put them into your graveyard.
Yeah.
I know there's one in a Time Spiral block.
Yeah, so there are cards that do that then. There's Torrent Elemental, I think, is in Pull for Eternity is the one I'm thinking
Pull for Eternity, yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. I think there's a lot that you could do here. that is kind of fun. Riff Sweeper. There we go.
Oh, Riff Sweeper. I forgot about Riff Sweeper.
Yeah, so maybe you play those as well, and maybe you have a reanimate just to keep the cycle going, because people will be looking to get rid of your Devoted Druid, your Cinderhaze Wretch.
Yeah, you'll probably have some sort of reanimation package in there anyway, because it seems like a commander that wants things to die.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have your commander out on the battlefield, which is quite likely given that it's a 7-mana commander,
yeah, I don't know.
Still want to be able to do things.
This seems almost like a design mistake in terms of just that you can get infinite mana so easily just by having a sack outlet and a creature.
Yeah, but it is 7 mana.
True.
Like 7 mana, get infinite mana. That's about par for the course for commander these days.
Yeah, maybe you can get this out in like turn 3 or 4 if you're really paying all the rocks and all the mana ramp.
Yeah, because like you can do, there's other like 2-card combos with your commander, like Niv Mizzet Perun and Curiosity.
True, Curiosity, yeah.
And that one can't be countered or anything. That's a whole mana less than this card, so.
Okay, maybe
and
it's
then
not that
also
broken.
you have to have like a third thing in order to be able to do all that mana.
Going. Yeah, it does
or yeah, once everybody's discarded their card, you still have to win from there.
Yep. This deck probably likes Bone Splinters and stuff too. Then all those cards that sack a creature, 2 kills, another thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just anything you can get your hands on that cares about sacrificing, dying.
Yeah, well, I have an Abzan Tokens deck. Maybe I'll upgrade to an Abzan Miracle deck. Not Miracle, the ability. Miracle.
You can put miracles in it. I won't stop you.
Yeah, not too many great miracles in those colors. All right, we got plenty more cards to talk about and some really powerful ones coming up. Make sure you stick around. We'll be right back after these messages from our mid-roll sponsors.
Don't go away.
Oh, hello, it is me, Hans Eriksson, living my best life, bonding with family, basking in nature, smelling the flowers.
Ach, Hans, run!
And running from the man-eating Lorgoyf. Oh! Thank goodness I have Everyman Jack body wash, deodorant, and skincare to keep me feeling fresh on the go. With scents inspired by the great outdoors, Everyman Jack lets me smell like my favorite things, whether I'm relaxing with pals or running from monsters. Ah, beautiful sandalwood. Ah, vicious Lorgoyf! They also have shampoos, balms, and oils to nourish my hair and beard. And look at all this beard. So big, so healthy. Everyman Jack products are made with clean, naturally derived ingredients and without any of the harsh chemicals like parabens and dyes that can be abrasive to your skin and leave it feeling dry. Plus, they always use responsibly made packaging and everything is cruelty-free. You know, now that I smell like nature, maybe the Lorgoyf won't be able to track me.
Ach, Hans, run!
Oh, never mind. Goodbye, friends.
Everyman Jack Men's Care. Naturally derived, outdoor inspired. Look for them at Target, Walmart, Amazon, or everymanjack.com.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy.
Hi everybody, it's me, Chandra. You know, I've been doing this Save the Multiverse thing for a really long time now. Like original Lorwyn Planeswalker long. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely fun sometimes. I mean, I got to channel Fireball and Eldrazi Titan out of existence. That was rad. But it's just one thing after another, you know? It's always, Chandra, burn this. Chandra, burn that. Well, I'm feeling burnt out. That's why I turned to BetterHelp for online counseling. See, burnout can take a toll on your life without you even realizing it, making you feel helpless, tired, and unmotivated. But talking to someone really helped me reignite the torch and prioritize my own well-being. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Thanks to therapy, I'm feeling all fired up again. Let's burn stuff!
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Command Zone listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/CommandZone. That's BetterHelp.com/CommandZone.
The Command Zone is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
So I said to the guy, "That's not a Sylvan Library, that's my lunch!"
Oh my gosh, Jimmy, he's such a rascal.
Hey, what's going on here?
Well, we wanted to watch Friends, but it's not on American Netflix.
So we decided to make our own sitcom instead.
Well, I mean, I do appreciate all the effort, but why not just use ExpressVPN? You can fire up the app, change your location to the UK, and then go on Netflix and watch all the Friends you want. ExpressVPN controls where sites think you're located, and with nearly 100 different countries to choose from, that's a lot of Netflix libraries. All right, Jake, that's enough with the soundboard. And it's not just Netflix. It works with any streaming service, in HD and with lightning fast speeds. No buffering, no lag. Best of all, you can use it on your phone, computer, and even your smart TV.
Looks like ExpressVPN is the VPN of our problems.
Jake.
Sorry, Josh. I serve a higher calling now.
So if you want to get access to hundreds of new shows, use our link right now, expressvpn.com/command, and you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's expressvpn.com/command. Again, go to expressvpn.com/command to learn more. All right, welcome back. We are talking about the remainder of the multicolored creatures from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. That could be your commander. Next up, this is a very powerful one. It's Nira, Wild Mage. 4, a blue and a red for a 2/7, weird stats. It's a human elf shaman. Whenever you cast a spell, you may put it on the bottom of its owner's library. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This ability triggers only once each turn. All right, Possibility Storm, right?
Yeah. Again, I started playing in Dragon's Maze, and so Possibility Storm is a card that's very near and dear to my heart.
Will you be
because there
building
weren't
Nira?
very many good cards in that set.
Yeah, in Dragon's Maze, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, so Nira, I think, is very, very cool and very, very unique because it's that, but only for yourself.
Yeah, so interestingly, you must put the spell that you cast on the bottom of your library in order to do the Possibility Storm effect. So you can't copy a spell and have the copy do it as well.
Yes.
But you want to have instant speed cantrips, I think is where you really want to be. So opt. An instant for blue, scry one, draw a card. You cast that, you're scrying one, you like it, you put it on top, or you have a brainstorm or something, or a ponder to be able to figure out what you want on top of your library, and then you're just going to freaking blast that thing on the battlefield for free.
Yeah, I think these are the types of cards that you want in there, because before you cast your commander, you're fixing the top of your deck for eventually once you cast your commander. And then once you've cast your commander, if you have an opt or a brainstorm or something in hand, you can just cast that, put it on the bottom, and almost certainly get something bigger and better.
Yep, very crazy. And those bigger and better things are your Blightsteals, your Eldrazi, your whatever, your giant dragons, Omniscience. Yeah, it's a permanent, by the way. It doesn't need to necessarily be. It's just a non-land card, actually.
Yes,
so you can actually cast instants and sorceries and all that stuff,
That's
too.
correct.
Yeah, it seems very, very powerful. And then I think this is the kind of deck that just wants to keep going, and you want to do it on other people's turns as well. So cards like Birgi are very good for giving you that extra mana that you need to just keep the cycle going, to keep cycling, put a new one out. And there could be turns or turn cycles where you pass the turn and do this 3-4 times and just get 5 monstrous things on the battlefield or whatever it is and just go nuts.
And if you cast something and then put it on the bottom of the deck and then flip until you hit something else and then cast that, you are getting 2 casts. So anything that says whenever you cast a spell, do thing X.
Yeah, so Birgi, Talrand, Young Pyromancer, Shark Typhoon if you're not cycling it. Stormkiln Artist, one of Josh Lee Kwai's favorite new cards. This one seems like the really good one because you can tap that for a blue or whatever. It's not just red, and you can use that another time as well.
Yeah, so you can store up that mana. So even if, oh no, Nira gets removed a couple times, it's a little bit expensive to cast. Well, now you have treasures sitting there that you can eventually get the stuff out of your hand.
Yeah.
Like those big Eldrazi, like Omniscience or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Nira is 6 mana, so it is expensive. Yeah. People will probably remove on site, so you're going to want to be able to keep up some counter magic. But the crazy thing is, if you can have this on the battlefield, someone tries to remove it and you counter it, you get to do the Nira effect again.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you could probably play some sort of cards that tutor your library to find instants and sorceries because you muddle the mixture or whatever it is. You have those cards to put on the bottom of your library, so you can't get it back with an Archaeomancer or whatever.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to someone with, well, not 10, but
9 Fingers Keen. All right. So this is a 1 black, green, and blue Sultai legendary creature human rogue. It's got menace. Ward, pay 9 life. Whenever this card deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 9 cards of your library. You can put a gate card from among them onto the battlefield. Then, if you control 9 or more gates, then put the rest of the cards into your hands. Otherwise, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Okay, it's the Maze's End deck.
Yes.
Very cool. So Maze's End decks want to get all the guild gates out, the gates, Gateway Plaza, you're playing Circuitous Route, and then if you have 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game.
Yeah. So this is another one that I had to do some research on because this is only a 3-color commander.
Yeah, so are there enough gates to actually do it?
Are there enough gates for Maze's End? So the answer is, hold on, I wrote this down. How many guild gates are there? There are 3 of the original guild gates that you can play. Yep. Maze's End is not a gate, so that does not count. Gateway Plaza, that's 4, and then there's 7 new gates from the new set.
Hey, so we did it.
So you can get up to 11 gates in this, so you can play Maze's End.
Yeah.
in this. I feel like they did that intentionally.
But the nice thing about Nine Fingers is that you only need to get to 9 to draw 9 cards.
Yeah.
Wow. But it is dealing combat damage. 4/4 Menace, a little harder to block, but that's very powerful. Probably not going to happen, though, until the very end of the game. But
also almost certainly never going to get removed with like a Source of Plowshares or something, because pay 9 life is steep.
I don't know. But here's the thing. If you knew that you were about to draw 9 cards, would you pay 9 life?
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, you probably would.
It's a lot.
Probably would. Yeah, so you also want to make sure that you get the combat damage in. So you got Fire Streaker for the sort of the double strike, grappling hook.
Yeah, because then you're churning through your library, you're looking for those gates. And then once you do have all those gates, then it's just a huge payoff because, again, you're drawing like 9 cards or whatever it is.
Yeah, and if you're playing all those gates, you probably want to have an Amulet of Vigor in there as well.
Yeah.
Because having half your mana base come in tapped is not very good for your deck.
No. Just play the, what is it, 10 guild gates, and then just all untapped lands and call it a day. That's fine.
All right. So not much to talk about for Nine Fingers. Pretty linear.
Yeah, you play gates. There's not a ton that you can do with it. You will draw cards and play gates. And that's the deck for you.
Yeah, and you're in green, so you're probably going to play your Dryad of the Elysian Grove. You're going to play your Azuzas to get multiple gates out to try and get to that 9 faster, too, as well. So you do just have general Sultai value tacked on everything else. Yep. All right, next up we got OG, the Exquisite Blade. 2 a white and a blue for a 2/3 human monk. When OG enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life and scry 2. Pretty good. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile up to 1 target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. So on your second spell, you get to flicker a creature.
Yes.
That you control.
So there is a little bit of scry synergy that you can build around. Probably not the best thing to build around because it's only when it enters the battlefield.
Yeah.
Again, can they blink themselves? Exile up to 1 target creature you control. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it can flicker itself.
Yeah.
And then come back, scry 2, gain 2 life.
Yep.
So that seems pretty powerful.
They can blink themselves. So that is good. So you can build around that scry, but it's probably not the best way to go. It's probably build more around the blink.
Yeah, the blink for sure. So Ephemerate and Ghostly Flicker are all instant speed, so you can do this as casting a second spell on someone else's turn as well.
Yep.
Yorion, Thassa Deep Dwelling, Brago, these are all great Flicker commanders and cards that just do the thing, Deadeye Navigator thing.
So you probably want a lot of those and a lot of other cards that will let you cast 2 spells. So all your cantrips and whatnots that we've been talking about. And because you're doing that, there's also some payoff cards.
Yeah, Ledger Shredder is one that Josh is super high on and has made
a lot of people are super high on.
Splash in Legacy and Vintage because everyone's casting multiple spells a turn.
I think every single format that can get its hands on Ledger Shredder has figured out the power of it.
Yeah, I would actually say Commander's kind of on the bottom tier of it.
Probably.
Except outside of like Standard, right? It's probably going to go like Standard, Pioneer, Historic, Ledger Shredder, and Commander, and then the real power is in Legacy and Vintage and all that.
Yeah.
But Ledger Shredder cares about casting 2 spells. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, it connives. So it's just good with other players around the table. But now that you're trying to cast 2 spells, you're going to connive and do all that. Yep. And you're also going to scry. So it's connive plus scry 2 with your commander. If you're blinking, that is like almost scry 3. It's definitely about drawing a card.
Yeah, you're digging pretty
more than drawing a card at that point. Monk class as well. It lets you bounce something when you level it to level 2. But it says the second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. Yeah. So you're going to get to that 3rd level. You're going to be able to trigger this multiple times. Clarion Spirit cares about casting 2 spells a turn. So it seems like an interesting deck. I don't know. I mean, White-Blue has had such a problem, I've said this in the past, with just being pure stacks and control.
Yep.
It is nice to see a little bit more, yeah. And there was another card we talked about in the other set review that also is White-Blue and pushes it in another direction.
Yeah, so I'm definitely glad they're doing this. I like that they're basically making the flavor like, oh, it's a monk type of thing.
Yeah,
you cast extra spells.
Monks, they have 2 fists, and they have double strike they can punch twice and attack twice. So I love that flavor.
Yeah, you got Flurry of Blows.
Flurry of Blows, very good. Very good. All right, read this next one.
Stop giving me the hard name.
No, it's not hard at all. There's nothing hard about this name. It's fun.
Raga Draga, Gorgut's boss.
Or Raga Draga, but I think Raga Draga's right.
Raga Draga, Raga Draga.
Raga Draga, no.
It's a human boar. That's a thing. Okay, sure, whatever.
Now. Yeah.
Each creature you control with a mana ability gets +2/+2. Oh, and this is a 2 red-green. Yep. Whenever a creature you control with a mana ability attacks, untap it.
Whoa.
And whenever you cast a spell, if at least 7 mana was spent to cast it, Untap target creature. It gets +7/+7 and trample until end of turn.
Okay, this is sweet.
That's very cool.
This is really cool. So this is Mana Dork Tribal. Your Llanowar Elves is a 1 green for a 3/3 that untaps when it attacks, and then you can tap it for mana again.
Yes.
So Birds of Paradise, Ornithopter of Paradise, Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. Being able to untap Selvala, pretty good. Now, keep in mind that
so good.
very specifically, this isn't allowing you to double up on the triggers because you have to attack first, and then you're allowed to untap it.
Yes.
If you give your creatures Vigilance, then you could tap. You can attack, the trigger goes in the sack, then you could tap it, use the ability, untap, and use it again.
Yeah.
But again, it's in combat, so you have to do instant speed stuff with that.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of stuff in red and green that give vigilance. There's like Angel's Trumpets, and I think there's like one card from Crimson Vow.
Yeah.
Do we put it on this?
But you have to very specifically...
Dormant Grove.
Yeah, Dormant Grove, yeah.
Gnarled Grove Strider is the side that does that.
Yeah, you have to transform it. But
Exactly.
you could turn everything into a Mana Dork with Rishkar Pima Renegade,
Yeah.
Cryptolith Rite, Song of Freyalise. These are all ways to give your creatures that ability. And all of a sudden, when they get that mana ability, they get +2/+2.
Yeah. I think this is a very strong deck as well because you're just ramping. It's like, treasure decks. Well, where's the inherent power in that? Well, the thing that you're playing around with is mana generation.
Yeah.
Same thing here. With all those mana dorks, you're just encouraged to play a lot of mana dorks. You get payoffs for playing the mana dorks.
You also get to cast your commander early.
You get to cast your commander early. You're just getting all these extra side benefits from playing all of these mana dorks.
Yeah, you go turn 1 mana dork, turn 2 mana dork, turn 3 player commander, turn 4 attack. Well, no, turn 3 player commander, attack with one of the mana dorks, untap it, maybe tap it to do more stuff. Yep. So it seems very, very powerful. I really like this deck a lot. And then at the end, you're just trying to cast 7 mana plus spells, and you're giving a creature +7/+7 and trample. You're going to kill someone.
Insert whatever your favorite's big green spell is. Green has no shortage of big spells.
Put in a Xenagos, do that whole thing. Red, green, beat them down.
Or you can just play a Crater Hoof for the overkill.
Yeah, that's true. Crater Hoof, getting +7/+7 and a Crater Hoof, that you're definitely going to be able to kill someone.
Yeah, if not everybody.
If not everyone.
But it does seem like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I could see myself building this deck as well. There's like 3 decks I could see myself building now.
Yeah, I like all these cards. These are cool cards.
Yeah. Very simple. That's why I like nice, straightforward magic.
Yes, please. That's all I want out of life.
All right. Moving on to Raphael Phoenix Savior. 3 black and red for a 4/4 Devil Noble. It has flying. And this is the Devil, Demons, Imps, and Tieflings deck, because other Demons, Devils, Imps, and Tieflings you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink.
Interesting.
Okay. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, you create a 1/1 red devil creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Those devils will become 2/2s, and they have lifelink. So when it dies and it deals that damage, does it get lifelink?
Yes, it does.
Wow, okay. So Raphael Phoenix Savior is looking to have a lot of fun with, again, devils, demons, imps, and tieflings.
Yeah.
Well, one of those tribes is very prominent.
Yeah.
Magic.
So demons have been around since the very beginning of Magic. That's probably going to be your top end with like Villas, Broker of Blood.
Oh, Villas is so good because you're paying life and now all your creatures have lifelink.
Yep. Runescarred Demon. Razaketh.
Harvester of Souls.
Harvester of Souls is good. Like, these are all really big, great top ends for this deck, probably.
Yep. If you're playing Devils, Mayhem Devil, very good. Zurzoth Chaos Rider, also pretty good.
Yeah, also makes more 1/1 Devil tokens that have the sacrifice, deal a damage thing.
Asmodeus, we talked about this earlier in the other set review, but now you have a pay 3 Droth 7.
Yep.
Pretty good.
Which is pretty darn good. And again, that extra life gain is going to help you with all of these life payments that just kind of come about from making contracts with demons.
So it goes, yeah. You also have like Blim Comedic Genius. I don't know if it's a perfect fit in this deck, but it's a pretty fun one.
Yeah.
And then you got Vault Scourge. She's just like a 1-mana 1/1 that turns into a 2/2 with flying and lifelink. So you can just get out the ground early.
Yeah, there's just not that many imps. There's not that many good imps per se.
Not.
So imp you probably want to stay away from for the most part, but that's fine. There's plenty of good demons, plenty of good devils.
And some good tieflings. Grim Hireling was reprinted in this set, and this is whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens. Pretty good.
Yeah.
You can also play Prosper, which is also a tiefling. Didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah. Totally forgot about that.
So I don't think you're playing Horde Robber as much.
You could.
You could.
You could.
I think you're really looking to the demons and the devils as the really powerful ones, and then tieflings obviously has some really good stuff too.
Yeah, that's definitely why they gave so many creature types on it. They're like, I know.
Yeah.
We can't really make a tiefling tribal deck. We can't really make an imp tribal deck.
Yep.
So here you go. This just covers all of them. So it seems like it could be good.
Yeah, it seems like pretty good. Okay. Good job, Raphael. You're definitely saving
I like Donatello better. But that's just me.
All right, moving on to the next one. This is another hard name to pronounce. Go for it, Murph.
Okay. Rilsa?
Yeah.
Rilsa Rael Kingpin? I'm going to go with that. 3 blue, black, Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. And if you completed a dungeon, that creature gets +5/+0 and gains First Strike and Menace until end of turn. So
Okay, I don't like this card.
So this one is very complicated. We should probably bring the initiative back up. So
Yep.
we talked about the initiative at the beginning of last episode, but if you didn't watch that, the initiative is basically like the Monarch and the Dungeon mechanic put together. Anything that says you take the initiative token and venture into the Undercity, which is the only dungeon in this set. And then if somebody else deals damage to you, they take the initiative and
they venture into the
start going
Undercity.
through their own dungeon, which is the Undercity.
When it gets back to your upkeep, if you've still taken the initiative, you venture further into the dungeon.
Correct.
Similar to Monarch. Again,
Yeah, so
There's a lot.
This is the only multicolor card that cares about the initiative, and it doesn't seem very good.
no. She takes the initiative by herself, which is cool.
Yes.
But otherwise, like, whenever you attack, target attacking creature gains Death Touch. You have to complete a dungeon to get the really sweet thing, which is First Strike +5/+0 and Menace. So if you're just giving creatures Death Touch, I'm not terribly excited about this.
Yeah, First Strike and Death Touch is very, very powerful because, especially with Menace.
Yeah, First Strike, Menace, Death Touch, great. But at that same point, you have to jump through so many hoops, and you're just creating creatures with Death Touch otherwise. So I don't know if this deck is really even that interesting. Notably, this is an uncommon card, so the power level isn't that high for that reason, I think. If you have Death Touch, you can give it to a pinger, like Walking Ballista, Tim. But with attacking, you can tap it, so it's not actually.
I like the flavor of the blue-black creatures, what cares about the Undercity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's not a ton of stuff in blue-black only that cares about the dungeon.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the blue-white or white stuff that also cares about dungeon, like we saw in the Sephris precon.
Yep, Sephris. Maybe you can play Asarak. Asarak. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Asarak.
Yeah, which allows you to just go into the dungeon more and more. But the moment that you start putting cards like UNT Malison and stuff to make your deck go into the dungeon multiple times, you're actually taking away from the power of it as well.
Yeah, because then you're completely focused about the dungeon and you're not focused on the Death Touch.
Yeah.
Other part of it. And it feels a little bit bad. Notably, though, if you're already in a dungeon and you take the initiative, you just venture further into the dungeon that you're already in.
Blah.
There's
Boring.
a lot of weird rule stuff with the initiative.
Yeah, I think the dungeon it seems much better and limited than anything else. It's hard to even make a Sephris deck that great. So I'm not super stoked on this card.
Yeah, because you played the Sephris precon, and how did that go?
I should have gone into the faster dungeon each time, is what I learned.
It just didn't do much.
Yeah, it didn't do much. All right, let's move on to another Planeswalker that can be your commander. It's Tasha, the Witch Queen. This will also be making an appearance in the next game nights for Baldur's Gate.
Woot woot.
3 blue and a black for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker Tasha. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, create a 3/3 black demon creature token. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, +1, draw a card for each opponent, exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard, and put a page counter on it. And then -3, you may cast a spell from among cards in exile with page counters on them without paying its mana cost. Okay.
All right.
Tasha seems powerful, but I don't actually like this card this much.
Oh, interesting.
'Cause
I disagree with you.
Oh, you like Tasha?
I like Tasha.
Well, here's the thing. Tasha by herself, +1, doesn't protect herself.
Yes.
And you get to draw a card, sure, but then you can't cast that spell unless you -3 her. The chances that she's going to be at 5 loyalty next turn, not that high. Someone just needs to hit her for 2, and then your -3 kills her.
Yes.
So that's why I don't like it.
Yeah, you definitely need a board to already be set up in order for Tasha to do her thing. But if you can have that set up, Tasha's great. Tasha does a lot of really great things.
So how are you going to cast spells that you don't own then?
I mean, you could use her ability. Her ability isn't bad because it exiles something from everybody's graveyard.
I don't think it's that great. I think you'd much rather do something else, right?
Yes.
Now, obviously, you don't need to pay its mana cost, so you could get some crazy things out of someone else's graveyard. But if they've already cast it, chances are they've done the damage.
Yeah.
But there are lots of ways to steal cards from other players in these colors.
Like Gonti, good old-fashioned Gonti. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library. Exile one of them face down, and you can cast that.
Yeah.
As long as it's exiled, spend mana as though we're mana of any type to cast it.
That card is great.
Yeah, Gonti's really good.
There's also a lot of the ninjutsu. So Nashi Moonsage's Scion is one that will ninjutsu in and do it. There's also Hidden Shinobi that does a similar thing.
Yeah, it's a very blue-black ability.
Yeah, and then you have like Thief of Sanity. You also have Hostage Taker, which I think is actually really good in this deck.
Yeah.
Siphon Insight, the card that I played on Game Nights once. I think this card's pretty good. I actually like this card a lot more.
Yeah, I need to put that in more decks. Every single time I look at that card, I think, man, this is actually really good.
Yeah, really cheap too, just blue-black.
Yeah.
And then there's also like Predator's Hour. If you have a lot of creatures, you're going to be able to exile cards from the library after your creatures gain menace and attack and deal damage. There's just a lot of ways to do it. I don't love it, but maybe you want to go the mill route. Maybe you want to mill your opponents, and then that's how you're going to get those sweet instant and sorceries.
Because you can get the instants and sorceries and whatever it might be into the graveyard, and then from the mill, then put the page counter on it, and then cast it.
All right.
It seems a little bit worse than just playing other cards that's like Gonti, right?
Yeah, true.
But I mean, it is a plan.
It's a plan.
I'm not saying it's the plan.
Maybe because it's a
plan.
Planeswalker, you're going to want to use Thrumming Bird, the Chain Veil, Deep Glow Skate, so you just get more loyalty.
Yeah.
So these are all in blue and black as well.
Flux Channeler I like because you're going to be casting stuff anyway.
You're going to proliferate.
Like, your goal is to try to cast as many things from your opponents as you possibly can get your hands on, and a lot of that is going to be non-creature spells.
Yeah.
So
I don't love Tasha, though.
You don't love Tasha?
Nah, she's aight. The art is amazing. I love that art.
I love all of the abilities, and all the abilities just come together so nicely. And
maybe I'll play it in another deck that is about stealing stuff. But I think Tasha by herself.
I think Tasha's the perfect commander for stealing stuff.
Well,
what would you do instead?
Marchesa, because you get red.
Okay, fine.
And then
yes,
you can build around.
Marchesa is good. You're right, Jimmy.
All right, cool.
Moving on.
But you're kind of taking away from one synergy to build into the other one. So maybe Tasha is just good by herself. All right, next up, we got the Council of 4, 3 a white and a blue for a 0/8. What? It's a human noble, although technically it's humans, nobles, 4 of them.
Yeah, what the heck?
I guess they're all 0/2s to be a 0/8 total.
Yeah.
Whenever a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card. And then whenever a player casts their second spell during your turn, you create a 2/2 white knight creature token.
Yeah.
So
notably, it's during their turn.
Yeah, this is a 5-mana catch-up mechanic in white-blue. We've seen a lot of cards that are in this world now, slowly for white.
Yes.
So this seems just okay as well.
Man, Jimmy, why are you poo-pooing on all the cards that I like?
5 mana.
I know it's 5 mana.
In the same set, we have a 1 and a white flash creature that whenever an opponent searches their library, you get to do something.
Yes, but that's not a legendary creature.
No,
you can put that in this deck.
You could put that in this deck. I'm just saying, as a legendary creature, I don't even know if I want to do this. Where we already just talked about a really great blue-white commander just a moment ago with OG, the Exquisite Blade.
It's true.
Much more interesting than the Council of 4.
I like the Council of 4 because you can kind of control what goes on.
Tell me how.
Because the easier one, probably, that you can control is whenever a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card. So just put Howling Mine effects in the deck.
So now everyone's drawing 1, but you're drawing 3?
Yes.
Right. Or you draw, I guess, basically 1 on each player's turn, you get to draw an extra card, so 3 extra cards around each rotation.
So they'll draw 2 cards on their turn, you draw a card. Next person draws 2 cards on their turn, you draw a card. And so then you're just getting a ton of extra cards for these types of effects. It makes a symmetrical effect. That's already not a bad effect. Howling Mine by itself is a pretty good card. It just makes it really, really good and really, really swingy, beneficial for you.
I just don't like that you have to Howling Mine and play the Council of 4 to get it. Otherwise, you have Howling Mine and then how many turn rotations where everyone gets that extra card as well, which seems like it can spiral out of control quickly for you.
I mean, perhaps. But I don't know. I'm the type of commander player that just like throws out a Howling Mine. I'm like, this is just going to make the game better.
I agree.
I feel like
I agree to that.
I feel like every single time a Howling Mine is played in a deck, the game is just better because everyone's got more options. Everyone's got more stuff. No one feels like they're out of it.
Yeah, you also have Kami of the Crescent Moon and Anvil of Baldur does the same thing. Hey, if you cast Windfall on your turn, though, does that mean you get to draw 3 extra cards on top of every other card because everyone's drawing their second card their turn?
No, because it's only that person.
During
you'll get an
their
extra
turn.
Card.
Okay.
Yeah, so stuff like that
because you're drawing
good,
yeah,
but it's not maybe quite as good as you would hope.
I guess then you want to play Brainstorm, Opt, all these cards that say draw X cards so that you're drawing those X cards, you get that trigger and draw another one.
Yes. I think stuff like Opt and all these preordained ponders, whatever, are very, very good in this deck because it's counting towards your second spell because they're going to be cheap.
Oh, right.
You're going to cast
make
2
a white
spells,
knight, yeah.
And then you're going to be drawing 2 cards because this also works for you on your turn. So if you play an Opt on your turn and then play literally anything else, you have suddenly met both of those conditions.
Yeah, well, Opt gets you the first condition, and then maybe the card you draw into, or just the extra mana you have gets you the second one.
Yep.
Yeah, notably, it's whenever a player and not opponent.
Yes. So it counts for you as well.
Okay.
So I like this card. I think it's fun. I think it's a good, fun, I don't know. It does go more on the control-y side of things, but it's control-y side.
Classic white-blue control-y.
But it's on the control side of things with Howling Mine effects, which I think is fun, and I like that a lot.
Maybe I'll play it in the OG deck.
Okay, that's fine. You can do that.
All right, next up we got Thrakus the Butcher. 3, a red and a green for a 3/4 dragon peasant. Ooh, sucks to be a peasant and a dragon at the same time.
How's that possible? Dragon's like gold.
Yeah, it's an uncommon. It's got trample, and then whenever it attacks, double the power of each dragon you control until end of turn. So it's kind of like a Tarka a little bit.
Yeah.
But cheaper to cast.
And it has to attack.
Yeah, and it will give itself double power, so it becomes a 6/4 with trample as well.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so it seems pretty powerful. Obviously, if you're playing this as a commander in the dragon deck, many great dragons that you can play, like Old Gnawbone.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Clouth, Unrivaled Ancient, I really like.
Oh, these are good options.
Yeah, it adds X mana in combination color with X is the total power of attacking creatures.
Oh.
So if you swing with Clouth and this, you're going to get 6, 8. You're going to get
just double the power.
14 mana. Yeah. And then you can fling it.
It's so fun.
Yay.
Because it is until end of turn, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then here's the thing. I really like Inferno of the Star Mounts, right?
Yeah.
So this is a dragon that has red. It gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and then when its power gets 20 this way, it deals 20 damage to any target. So what you would do is you would make it a 6/6. You would pay red, I guess, to make it into a becomes 20. Okay, if you play red to make it a 9/6.
Yes.
Double it to 18, and you pay 2 more red, and it becomes 20.
Yes.
And deal 20 damage to any target.
Which seems doable. Having a dragon deck and being able to pay like 4 or 5 extra mana into something.
Yeah.
That's very, very doable.
Very
Instead
doable.
of paying, what it would be, 14?
14
other
mana,
times?
yeah.
That's not super likely. But with this commander, it could very easily be that.
Yeah, you like cards that are going to double the power and stuff. And there's plenty in green as well that do similar things. There's one, I forget the name of it, but there are cards that are going to double things. So there's lots of ways to just make really, really huge creatures, which I kind of like.
Yeah,
and then
there's stuff like Selvala and green.
Oh, yeah.
It just cares about power of creatures. Galta, so much green cares about creature power.
Yeah, power
Lo
matters.
and behold.
Lo and behold. And then Blammo, you're just flinging it. And so you could kill someone with Inferno and fling same turn, right?
Yeah.
There's lots to do there. And then maybe you just want extra combats because you're going to double it again. So maybe you could do that with Inferno, right? You do Combat Celebrant, swing with Inferno, becomes a 12/6, and then you add... Oh, no, it has to... Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Because it has to become 20 with the red, so it's a little tough.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Maybe you cast Mana Geyser.
There you go.
A ton of mana. Cast Inferno. It has haste. Then you can pump it beforehand, use 1 extra mana later on, and get to that 20.
I feel like no matter what, you play Mana Geyser, you play dragons, it's like you're in pretty good shape.
You're in pretty good shape.
You're in pretty
yeah.
good shape.
Yeah. So tons of dragons, obviously. Lots of extra combat dragons. My favorite card of all time, Scourge of the Throne.
Yep.
Blah, 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 blah. So good stuff there.
Extra combats are very, very good because then you attack again, and then you double everything.
Again.
So,
Woohoo!
that's
And
not
then,
fun.
you're in red green. We've talked about this card all the time, but who's the god that loves to double things up?
I forget.
What?
What?
Come on, he's the god of revels. Xenagos.
Oh, Xenagos, duh.
Yeah.
The plus X,
Xenagos.
plus X.
Plus
Yeah.
X, yeah. So lots of different ways to just get tons of damage out. And Dragon Tempest, once again, all-star.
Yep.
Our last card, we're not actually going to talk about. It's Zevlor Elturel Exile. We have an entire episode dedicated to this, which is why it is the Command Zone Live episode. You can find out how we discovered that it needed to be errata'd, and we contributed to the changing of a text of a card.
We helped with the errata.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So if you want to find
internet.
out what happened, check out Command Zone Live episode 3, I believe.
It's already been posted.
It's on our channel. We'll have a link for it below in the show notes below. Lots of things to do with Zevlar. Very cool card. And could be very, very mean as well. But to find out more about that, just go check out that episode. You won't regret it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Murph.
All right.
Most powerful new multicolored commander. I guess we'll just keep it to this, the cards we talked about today.
So the cards we talked about today,
Yeah. I already know mine.
I don't think they're very powerful, though.
Well, is there?
I like a lot of them, but I think Raga or whatever.
Raga.
The Mana Dork one, I think, is like sneakily very good. It's not even that sneakily. I just think it's very good.
Yep. I think I'm going to go with Mahadi, Emporium Master, just because you can just make so many treasures.
You make so many treasures, and it's something that will probably end up going in the 99 of other things.
Yeah, it's that or Miracle, because there's just so many. There's just one cards, you can play it, and then blam, it becomes infinite once it becomes an enchantment. And we haven't really seen that effect before.
Yeah.
How about your personal favorite new multicolored commander from this group of cards?
From this one... let's see, what do we got? I like the Council of Four quite a bit. I like Tasha.
Wow. Okay.
But the Council of Four is something where I'm like, okay, well, I can have these other cards that I already like playing, put it onto this commander, and it just works. It just fits.
Right. I'm a split between Miram Sentinel Worm, because I love dragons, and Nero Wild Mage, because it's not about... It's not like a Spell Slinger deck necessarily. It's like get big crazy things out deck, and that's more my playstyle.
Yeah, it's like a little bit Spell Slinger, but also you take those spells and then just go, nope, Eldrazi actually.
Yeah. Sounds like my kind of game. Or a dragon. All right. Woo, so many cards we had to split into 2 episodes. So thank you so much for listening along. To the listeners, let us know, what commander are you excited to build or put into the 99 under the deck? Maybe we didn't mention it today. Maybe you want to enlighten us. Well, let us know in the comments. You genius, you armchair internet expert, or tweet at us. Do whatever you want. Get your message across. We always have so many people contributing in the comments as well, so it's an awesome just discussion forum at the end of the day. And I know that I personally go and look through a lot of the comments, especially on set reviews, because I want to see what everyone else is coming up with. Because there's always some blind spots. You know, we do our best to do as much research as possible, but there's always something that we probably end up missing. And of course, buy these cards because you want to, because you need them for your deck. I'm allowed to just tell people that, right? I'm not breaking any rules
Jimmy,
or
I don't think
regulations.
saying to Magic players buy Magic cards is like that tall of an order. It's not much of an ask.
Maybe the ask is instead that you go to channelfireball.com/command. That's our affiliate link, the Channel Fireball Marketplace. We talk about it all the time. You can get great prices on sealed products. You can also just get full on every card you want in every kind of format, every kind of foil, every kind of whatever, because you're shopping from local game stores from around the country. They are full on validated stores. They're going to get good customer service because that's part of their ethos as a game store. And most importantly, I harp on this all the time, but you are supporting a local game store in a time period when local game stores are one of the most affected stores, I think, especially for our hobby, in the midst of a pandemic when people are not really going out to do in-person events anymore. So make sure you check out channelfireball.com/command. And when you get those cards, go to shop.ultrapro.com/command and you can buy the sleeves that match your commander. They're going to have sleeves for almost every legendary creature that I can think of. At least they always do stuff like this. They theme play mats and stuff, especially around the big characters. So if you are building that Tasha deck or whatever it is, there's going to be some sleeves that match your aesthetic. If not, you'll find just some Dimir sleeves that maybe do it, or some Dimir deck boxes, whatever it is. Shop.ultrapro.com/command is the place to go.
Dimir's the best. Dimir's great.
Dimir is great. But then you said a white-blue card is your favorite card.
Yeah, blue's the best. How about that?
Okay. All right. No end step today on these set reviews. The episodes are too long already, but a big cleanup step. Big thanks to our amazing team here at the Command Zone, which is... You do it this time.
Damon Lenz, Shauna Gillis, Arthur Meadowcroft, Ashlyn Rose, Lady Danger, Manson Lung, Craig Blanchett, Josh Murphy, that's me, Jake Boss, Patrick Nan, Jordan Pridgeon, Sam Waldo, Gaurav Gulati, Truck Tai, Jamie Block, Mitch Trafford, and Evan Limburger.
And Josh Lee Kwai, who's not here today, but in spirit, his favorite card was...
What would Josh's favorite card be?
I don't know. I'm going to do Windfall. It wasn't even the commander. And big thanks to Jeffrey Palmer. He does the living card animations that start our show. You can find him on Twitter at livingcardsmtg. All right, everyone, go out there, go forth and conquer and battle for Baldur's Gate. Let us know what your favorite cards are. Can't wait to see you on the battlefield very soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Peace out.
For your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter at JFWong and at Josh Lee Kwai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.